Hi everybody, Ellen here. Today I come to you guys with my August wrap up, and unfortunately I did not end up finishing as many books as I would have liked. I did not even end up finishing my TBR, but I did end up finishing 8 books and about 2/3 of another one. 2 tomes that I really wanted to have read, and I did. So I usually read about 15 to 16 books a month, but since I'm done with my Goodreads goal, I thought it would be a good time to focus on my tomes, TBR kind of. So that's why I've read 8 books. But I do not feel bitter because of that, because I read some really great books this month. So let's get to it. One of the books, which actually happens to be one of the tomes I read, is The Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson. This is like a really thick book. This book is 763 pages, and it definitely took me a really long time to read this one because I did not end up finishing this while I was on vacation, so I had quite a lot of it left when I started working again, and yeah, it was hard. But I did end up loving this book almost as much as the first book. Not quite, but almost. So this book and the series is actually about there's this Dark Lord who has been sort of dictating this world for thousands of years, and finally people who are Ska have been treated like shit. They're kind of slaves in most places, and they started a rebellion. And we also get to be a part of this kind of crew who wants to help start this rebellion and overtake the Dark Lord. And the most amazing thing about this series is because of the magic, of course, because there's something called allomancy, meaning that some people can inhale different metals and get kind of different powers because of it. And the main character, Vin, is actually a Mistborn, and she's so kick-ass and so totally cool, and I love the characters so much. And I definitely had trouble foreseeing where the story was going in book 2, so I really did enjoy this book, and I ended up giving it 4.5 out of 5 stars. We come to the second tome I ended up reading this month, and that was Warbreaker, also by Brandon Sanderson. This book consists of 652 pages, so it's also quite large. And I did not get as captivated by this story as I have by his previous books, but I still did really enjoy it. So in this one we meet 2 sisters, Ciri and Vivenna, and Vivenna is actually supposed to marry this king to keep the different countries from going into war, which has been a thing on the horizon for many years. And this god king, as he's called, is actually immortal. He's sort of a lesser god, and he's trying to undo the mistakes he has done for the last couple of 100 years. So this is kind of these books also have magic. It's called biochromatic, and that kind of means you can sort of breathe life into things that's not normally alive, and you can make your cloak do things that are not, you know, supposed to be able to do. And it's really cool. I love the magic system and the world building. It took me a while to start liking the characters, and you know, preferably the main characters took a long time for me to really care about, and I was kind of annoyed with Vivenna for a long time, but it just took me a while to get into it, and when I did, it was really great. And this is also a book that is supposed to get a sequel, but it has no release date yet, and nobody knows what it's supposed to be about, so I mean, for a very long await. But I ended up giving this book 4.5 out of 5 stars. And then we have a review book that I read, and that was Döden ingen ser by Anne-Marie Shetline. And this is about this doctor, and people are starting to pretty much die like flies at his work, and they're trying to figure out what the victims have in common, and you know, why they ended up dead. So it took me a while to get into this book. I did listen to the audiobook, which might be the reason why, because the narrator talked so freaking slow that I had it on 2.0 because, you know, get to the point, woman. But I did enjoy this one. It just took me a long time to get into it and like really reflect on what the hell is going on. But I give this book 3 out of 5 stars. We have another review book that I listened to this month, and that was Sjusiffrigt by Anna Carolina. This is about 3 women that actually kidnaps this really sort of famous and rich guy, and his dad does not want to pay the ransom for him, and shit happens. It's a lot of intrigues in this book. It's a really quick read. It's very like, I mean, when you read this book, you're thrown into it all, and you can't help but really like the stories and the characters, and I really did enjoy reading this one. And I ended up giving this book 4 out of 5 stars. And then we have a book that I've been wanting to read for a really long time, but I had to wait for Jamie to do so, because happens to be one of our buddy reads. But we read My Plain Jane by Cynthia Hand, Brody Ashton and Jodi Meadows. So this is sort of a retelling of Jane Eyre, which is one of my favorite classics of all time. I really love that book. But this is sort of with ghosts and ghost hunters and stuff like that, which is really cool. I really like this book. I like the characters, I like the events, and I have admittedly not read a lot of ghost books or ghost hunting books, but it was really fun and a quick read, even though it took me a long time to get through it because I read so little each time because reading slump, which is like the statement of this month. But I really did enjoy it, and it was very quick when you actually picked the book up. I did not enjoy this one as much as I enjoyed My Lady Jane, which is the first book in this, I think it's supposed to be a trilogy, but they have like nothing in common. You just get a cameo from the first characters in this book. I did enjoy My Lady Jane more than this one, but this was still a very good and well-written read, and I ended up giving this 4 out of 5 stars. And then we actually have a reread, and that is Wires and Nerve by Marissa Meyer. This graphic novel, actually, I'll see if I can get something to show you guys without spoiling. So this is a graphic novel that takes place after the Lunar Chronicles, so you should definitely read that series first. I reread this one because I suddenly had a very strong feeling that I really needed to read book 2 or graphic novel 2 in the series. So this is a duology that follows the same characters, the Lunar Chronicles, only takes place afterward. It's very kick-ass. It's really fun to revisit the characters again, and they're doing a shitload of weird-ass stuff, and I really did enjoy it. And I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. And then maybe you can guess which book I read next. But that was Gone Rogue by Marissa Meyer. This is book 2 in Wires and Nerve duology. And this one pretty much takes off where the last graphic novel ended, and this is a lot thicker, but it was very enjoyable. There's a lot of shit happening, you get a lot of answers, and you know, a lot of action, and it was really enjoyable. I definitely like this one a lot more than the first book, and I ended up giving this book 4.5 out of 5 stars. Now we'll actually only have one more book to talk about, which is actually the first book I read of the month, and this is an audiobook by Siobhan Vivian, and it's called Stay Sweet. So we meet the main character, and she has worked at sort of this ice cream stand for a couple of summers, and suddenly she's supposed to be the head girl, take care of everything and be in charge and stuff like that. But suddenly the owner of this ice cream stand dies, and her grandson is supposed to take over, and this is sort of the first time there's actually been a guy in the ice cream stand. They're supposed to work there because it's always only been girls working there. So they sort of kind of a new dynasty, if you will, and a new dynamic too. And I really did enjoy this book. It was really sweet and cute and funny, and I liked the sort of flashbacks that you got from the girl that actually created entire ice stands back when there was still war. I really liked that kind of aspect. The main characters, whose name I can't remember, but I do remember her best friend Kate. She was a pain in the freaking ass. I hated the best friend Kate. She was so annoying. She ruined everything, and I hated her. But I still really enjoyed this book, and I ended up giving this book 4 out of 5 stars. So yeah, those were all of the 8 books I ended up finishing this month. I did also read 2/3 of another book, but that will be on my September wrap-up since I finished it in September. But yeah, if you've read any of the books I mentioned in this video, please let me know down below what you thought about them. because I'm curious as always. And if you like this video, please don't forget to give me some thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe to my channel by clicking the little button down below. And yeah, I hope we see each other next time. Bye!